Good evening, Professor. Let's see. Week 4. So here we go. This week is very heavy on the Mongol and Genghis Khan history. I've always been fascinated, I guess, to start with this. How little attention our culture, our Western culture, has paid to the history of the Mongols. I mean, if you compare it to like the history of the Greeks, Caesar, Byzantine Empire, and some other empires throughout history, the Mongols just seem like a footnote for some odd reason. I'm not sure it has to do with the fact that it's an Eastern culture, or they're not Caucasian or European in nature, but it seems to lack a lot of research, like on TV, on books. But it's not as evident in culture as some other empires before or after them. That much said, the Silk Roads, the lecture on the Silk Roads, I found that very fascinating. The secret history of the Mongols, the history of the Genghis Khan and how his upbringing started, that was by itself a very interesting part of history, where they started and how important it was. Let's see. The Russian Chronicles of the Mongols, the perspective that I see. I'm honestly, one of the things that caught my attention is Genghis Khan's letter to Changzhou. And I've always, I guess, from what I read and I've seen in movies, have always pictured the Mongols to be a fearsome warrior-like kind of senseless killers. I mean, that's the best way to describe it. And a lot of this first account, primary sources, in particular this letter right here, put Genghis Khan in a whole different realm. I mean, it shows a different side to the man. I mean, it really rounds the man as somebody that was, in fact, a fearsome, vicious warrior, but it was also a very gifted statesman, capable of conquering such a vast amount of empire. In this letter, it does a great job of portraying him and explaining him. So I was very fascinated by this letter by him, the way he described one of the things that I think the letter mentioned is how he saw himself as a father figure to his people, and then how he saw people that were talented. And I think it says treat them as brothers. So his whole mentality is, to say the least, just incredible. Now, the travels by Marco Polo in describing the great Khan, actually in this case later Khans, in the description of the great Mongol Empire, it's also fascinating how the Mongols figure a way to conquer so many people and stay within power in different areas of their empire. Of course, the description of the palace by Marco Polo seems one of the things that, if I had a chance, I would more than love to see the place. I know you took a picture, you showed a picture in one of your lectures of the place. I guess I'm going to go and have to see this palace. Hopefully one day I'll have a chance to travel and actually see it in person. The question on the Mongol degree on free trade, and this is something I would like to talk to you about. Kind of question is, were the Mongols' mentality on trade, is that something they adopted from the Chinese? Because the Mongols, by for what our lectures say, they're people from the steppe, and they were, for the most part, raiders. They were looking to take what they needed, but it seems once their empire grew, they were really open to trade and free trade within their empire. Is that something they actually took from the Chinese? Is that something, the mentality they inherited, or is that something that it grew within them? I'm not sure what historical connections there are. Let's see. Now, as far as the Mongol rule in Iran, the Golden Horde, and the 4 different empires, what I try to figure out is, why did Islam take root in all these areas? Why was Islam? Is it because of the proximity, or because their connection with the Turks, who in turn were themselves connected with Islam? Is that what eventually kind of allowed for Islam to take over Mongol beliefs and not Christianity or Buddhism? Because I've seen, if I'm not wrong, on all four of the Khanates, hopefully I'm pronouncing it right, Islam became with time the main religion. So I'm not sure what the connection is, or why is it that it succeeded in not Christianity and Buddhism or any other religion. And I was wondering, is it because of that connection between the Turks and Islam, and then because the Turks were connected directly to the Mongols as their, kind of second in command, and so on and so on. So I also had, let's see, a question on the Mamluk and then Ottoman Empire. As far as the Mamluk, I understood from the reading in the lecture that these were people that were for the most part Turks. And I guess what I didn't quite understand is when the Mamluk and the Ottoman Empire merged, or did they ever merge? Who overtook who? So technically, the Mamluk and the Ottoman were really one of the kind, or is it a similar connection to the Khanates as far as the relationship? I know you put them together in the same lecture, but my question, I guess, is what are those two connected as? And I hope I'm making sense here. I understand they're both Turk people, but are they more like related ethnicity wise, or were they just a whole separate kind of people? And I'm hoping I'm making sense. And that's pretty much it. Hope this all makes sense. Have a nice evening.